Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 262. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is your normal conducive for your success? Why you may need a new normal. Is your normal conducive for your success? Why you may need a new normal. But before we get to today's episode, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all new listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's episode, and I'm going to share all of my social media contact information, and please connect with me via social media. Also, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. So if you're interested in building a successful, sustainable e-commerce business, please go to anewblackwallstreet.com. Pick yourself up a copy. It's $14.95 plus shipping and handling. Now, if you need additional assistance building your successful, sustainable e-commerce business, I've created a compatible online course titled educatedecommerce.com. And what this does, it takes you from step A to step Z in terms of building a successful and sustainable e-commerce business on multiple platforms, Amazon, eBay, your own sites, and additional sites. That brings us to two platforms that I've created to help circulate those black dollars in the black economy. And once again, guys, we're talking about building an economic power base. This is all this show is about. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint is trying to help build an economic power base in the black community. And in order to do that, we need to start circulating dollars in our own community. So two platforms that I created, I did to help do that. And the first one is besmartbyblack.com. besmartbyblack.com. So if you are a black product producer and you want to sell your product to black consumers worldwide, upload your information to besmartbyblack.com. It's free to upload. Okay. Now, if you are a freelancer, if you do anything that's on freelancer.com or fiverr.com, I've created another site titled hireblackfreelancers.com, HIRE blackfreelancers.com. Once again, if you want to connect with black consumers and black businesses that need to hire freelancers, upload your information and it's free also. And last and certainly not least, if you're interested in having me come out to speak to a college, university, school, church, or any type of organization, you can go to bookjjones.com. bookjjones.com. Just fill out the quick form and I'll get right back to you. Now, today's episode is your normal conducive for success, why you may need a new normal. And the way this episode came about, I was having a conversation with several of my friends, and we talked about what people become accustomed to and what people consider normal. And many of the behaviors that we have that have become normal really should not be normal if you're trying to be a successful entrepreneur. If you're looking for success, there's certain things that you shouldn't do. And we all fall into these things. So I'm actually going to talk about 5 areas where we may need to adjust our normal. Okay, first and foremost, though, I want to talk about or define what is normal. According to the dictionary, normal is conforming to a standard, usual, typical, or expected. Conforming to a standard, usual, typical, or expected. Now, many times our normal is shaped by our environment. So if you're used to living in a mansion and having money at your disposal, that's normal to you. If you grew up and you were in a middle income family and you got the things that you needed, but not necessarily what you had, that's normal to you. If you grew up in poverty, that's normal to you at a certain point. So we have to be very careful what becomes normal to us. And I talk about being accustomed to things. So years ago, when I just started, got out of college and started working, I was accustomed to a certain way of living. As I continue to move up the corporate ladder and then into entrepreneurship, I've acquired a new way that I'm accustomed to living. And I use the example of when I used to travel when I was in college or right out of college, my go-to hotel was the Red Roof Inn because it was cheap and it was clean. And so that was my go-to hotel. Now, since I've moved up the socioeconomic ladder, whatever you want to call it, I don't stay at the Red Roof Inn anymore, not because there's something wrong with it, but I'm accustomed to something else. Now, staying at the Marriott or whatever, that's my normal. And so we have to be very cognizant of what becomes normal to us. And once again, that's based on our environment. So we're going to talk about 5 areas where we may need to adjust our normal. And the first area we're going to talk about is content. And when I talk about content, what I mean is what you take in. Okay. Now, I always have a saying, and I didn't create it, but it's garbage in, garbage out. Okay. What's the normal content that we take in? If you look at what you do on a normal day, okay, when you go to work or you go to your business, you come home, what do you normally do? You probably eat dinner, you probably watch some TV, you may play with the kids or whatever. But think about what your normal day is. And we want to talk about what your normal day is versus what your normal day should be or may be if you're looking to be successful. All right. So first and foremost, we want to talk about content. And these are the 5 areas that you may need to adjust your normal. All right. Content, garbage in, garbage out. So if you come home every day and you play PlayStation, I always say this because to me, great. If you want to play it, that's fine. But if you play it too much, if you're playing it 4 or 5 hours a night or whatever, that's a time waster. I don't care, that may be something to de-stress you or whatever, but think about how you can use that time differently. So content, what are you putting in? Are you watching shows like the Kardashians? Are you watching Bad Girls Clubs, Real Housewives or whatever? And once again, I'm not knocking that totally, but if that's all the content that you're putting inside your head, then I can tell you right now, that's not conducive for success. So once again, the mind is the greatest tool we have. So if we put garbage in, then garbage is naturally going to come out. So content, what are you doing with yourself? Now, there's content that's garbage and there's content that elevates. What are you reading? What are you watching on TV? What are you listening to? How do you continue to educate yourself? Do you need to make a change? Okay. Do you need to adjust your normal content intake? Do you need to adjust your normal content intake? If you're wondering why, one of the reasons you may not be getting further, be it in your job or in your business, what type of content are you taking in? Is it garbage or is it content that elevates? And I say this all the time, family. If you're not doing something or learning something, you're going backwards. There's no such thing as standing still. Okay, you're either going forward or you're going backwards. And I get it. You need to de-stress. You want to play a video game. You want to watch something silly that doesn't require you to think. I get it. I know the feeling. But once again, you have to be cognizant of the content that you put in. How many books do you read? What are the books about? What type of television do you watch? Do you watch the Discovery Channel? Or like I said, do you watch something that has no redeeming value whatsoever? And not that that's wrong. But once again, be cognizant of what's going in. Okay? How do you continue to educate yourself? Do you take online courses? Did you go back to school? And it doesn't have to be a formal education. Anything that elevates you, okay, that's education. So, number one, and we're talking about 5 areas where you may need to adjust your normal. And area number 1 is content, okay? And once again, your mind is your greatest tool. So you have to make sure that you're filling your mind with positive and content that elevates. That's number 1. And today's show topic, family, is your normal conducive for success? Why you may need a new normal. Okay? Area number 2 we're going to talk about is time management. Okay? Is it normal when you come home to watch 6 hours of television a night? Is that normal for you? Okay? Time management. We all get 24 hours in a day. Or should your new normal be carving out time for important tasks, for reading, time blocking, writing, thinking and exercising? Time management is area number 2. Think about what you do on a normal day when you come home from work or from your business. What do you do with that time? And everybody gets the same amount of time. So it's about how we utilize and manage that time. And so I was talking to one of my young brothers that I mentor, and he was asking me, man, how do you get so much of this stuff done? And I just use something that's called time blocking. And I learned this a long time ago in one of my first jobs. So what I do, most times we're reactive. Okay, in the morning, we get up. First thing we do is we grab our phone. We start looking at our emails. And now that puts you in the reactive position, meaning that you need to react to this email. You need to react to this. You need to do that. And that's taking you totally off of your game. It may be something that you had no idea that you need to react to. So I use what's called time blocking. So the first thing that I do when I get up is I think. And I say this all the time. The 3 things an entrepreneur does is think, create, and execute. And you always need to put time away to think, be it 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. That people that don't understand or think you're BSing around or something, but you need to get time to think. Okay? And so with this time blocking, I set 15 to 30 minutes a day to think. Just think about what I need to do, what I need to accomplish, and how I need to accomplish it. Okay? So, and not being reactive, I don't even look at my email yet. Because if I do, I know I'm going to start thinking about something that's not on my docket. So what I do is I take 45-minute blocks of time. And if I say that during this period of 45 minutes, I'm going to work on building a new sales funnel. I don't even open my email. I put my phones away. I focus on that. If I decide I need to block 2.5 hours out to start writing on one of my books I'm working on, I do that. And then there's a time where I actually go into my emails. So if you email me, I may not get back to you right away, which is probably the truth of the matter is because I only look at emails 2 to 3 times a day. And I have a specific time blocked out to look at emails and then a specific time blocked out to respond to emails. Because once again, you don't want to be in a reactive position. It's almost like being in a boxing match. Okay, if you're always reacting, yeah, you can counterpunch and all, but if you're always reacting to something, that means you can't get your offense off because you're concerned about parrying or blocking or ducking or whatever. And you need to focus on what your duties are or what you need to get done that day. So time management skills. It's important. Use time blocking, 45-minute increments, hour increments, 2-hour increments, whatever works for you, but focus on specifically on what you need to do. So once again, instead of watching 6 hours of TV a night when you get home, maybe you watch 3 hours of TV or 2 hours of TV, and you take that time and you use it to build your business. You block that time out. Use that time to do something, that's going to elevate you. It could be time for reading. And I do most of my reading at night. And one of the things, guys, that you may want to think about, what helps me in terms of my time blocking and my time management, is I get up early. So I get up at usually 5. I'm awake anyway at 5. Most of the times I'll get out of bed 5:30 or whatever. But I'm not responding to anybody's email 5:30 a.m. in the morning, and they're not expecting me to do that. So I use that time. The first couple of minutes is my thinking time, 15 to 30 minutes. Then after that, I'll have another time block. And so being able to utilize your time management skills. And I'm going to say this, and I know I say it to death, but think about what you could do if you play video games 3 hours a night for 5 nights a week. That's 15 hours, right? Think about what you can do with those 15 hours in a week. Cut the video game playing down from 3 hours a night to an hour a night. Guess what you can do with that? That 10 extra hours. It's amazing. So once again, time management. And today, family, the topic is your normal conducive for success? Why you may need a new normal. And we're talking about 5 areas where you may need to adjust your normal. First one was content. Second one I just went over was time management. Okay. Number 3 is focus on the wrong things, or focus in general. What are you focusing on? Now, I know when I used to work for somebody, my focus at that time was, man, I can't wait till Friday so I can get off of work. And now I got my weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I'm focusing on my entertainment. What am I going to do to entertain myself Saturday and Sunday? Because I hate my job and I'm just so ready for the week to be over. So that's a normal focus, or that was a normal focus for me. When the normal should have been, instead of entertainment, it should have been education. Okay. Focus. A lot of times, once again, we focus on having a good time as opposed to focusing on productive time. Okay. Sometimes we focus on buying junk, things that have no value, versus buying assets. Okay. And I just have to touch on this real quick about buying junk. I'm on Instagram, and I don't even know who this cat is. I think his name is Blueface or something like that. He's a rapper, right? And so they talking about this fool had $575,000 worth of jewelry on. I'm not sure if it got stolen or what, but he had $575,000 worth of jewelry on. And once again, the ignorance, not being stupid, but ignorance meaning not knowing. You know what you could do with $575,000? What you can do, what you can build, the assets you can create. And once again, people are in different places in their life. So if you're young and you don't quite, it hasn't sunk in yet, I get it. But somebody needs to, to tip his coat, pull his collar, and be, yo, man, let me holler at you. And I know a lot of it is you got to look a certain way in the game to be considered legit. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is it's focus. What are we focusing on? People out there, you still buying Gucci once again. And I'm about to dissect the Master P interview on the Breakfast Club. That's coming up. I'm working on that. But you buying things that don't do nothing for us. Okay. And I'm not going to get too heavy in it because that's going to be a show I'm talking about coming up. But once again, what are you focusing on? Normally you may be focusing on entertainment when you really need to be focusing on education. Normally you may be focusing on having a good time when you should be focusing on having a productive time. Normally you may be focused on buying things that make you feel good as opposed to buying assets. So focus. Do you need to change your normal focus to a new normal focus? So we have content, time management, focus. Next, we have wealth. Okay, the normal thing is that we've all been taught is going to get a job. That's what we're normally taught. Working on a job and making other people wealthy. When what we really should be talking about, our new normal, should be building your own business and creating generational wealth. Now, it could be starting off part-time. we're going to talk in another episode. We're going to talk about the success equation. I'm sorry, the freedom equation. And part of that is cash flow. So your job, if you look at it a certain way, your job could be cash flow to help start and finance your business. But when we're talking about the area of wealth, the only way to build true wealth is by assets. A business is an asset. You could be real estate, whatever you want to do. But the normal way people think about wealth is working a job and trying to build wealth. And normally that doesn't happen. Income, yes, you can be quote unquote rich, yes, but wealth comes from ownership. It comes from assets. So most people normally think about, when they talk about wealth or think about wealth, working a job, and you're currently making other people wealthy, as opposed to building your own business and creating generational wealth. That's what your normal should be. Okay. And number 5, and this is so important, and this is in no particular order, but one of the 5 areas where you may need to adjust your normal is your inner circle or your influencers. Your inner circle or your influencers. People who have influence over you. It could be family members. It could be a spouse. It could be friends. All right. Normal people that we hang around. And there's an old saying, look at the 5 people, your 5 best friends, and you'll see yourself. Okay. Now, I know we can't pick family, but we can pick friends. And you don't pick friends just on monetary issues or things of that nature, because there's other valuable things that people bring to your life beside, money and things like that. But area number 5 we're talking about is your inner circle or your influencers. Now, normally, and this is myself included, most of the people that I hang around or that I know that were in my inner circle were people with no vision. And that includes family, friends, whatever. And when I say people with no vision, meaning that they think that all life consists of is going to work, getting a job, going to work, getting your 2 weeks vacation, ba-ba. And to me, that's somebody with no vision, when your normal should be hanging or having people with grand visions as your influencers or your inner circle. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So your inner circle is your people that are your influencers. So people influence you even though you may not even recognize it or realize it. Okay? Most people have talkers in their inner circle where you should have doers in your inner circle. You ever talk to people that, I'm going to start this business, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and they never do it? They're talkers. What you need in your inner circle is doers. Because when you're around like-minded people, they become influencers also. So you can have talkers as influencers, or you can have doers as influencers. And here's the real big one in terms of your inner circle or influencers. And I'm sure if you're an entrepreneur, you started a business or thinking about starting a business, it's that negative influence. And that negative influence can drain the life out of you. So most normal people have negative influence around them in the inner circle when you really need positive influences around you. And I'm talking in life and in entrepreneurship. Okay, so your inner circle, if you hang around with a bunch of people that don't believe entrepreneurship, or they can be successful in entrepreneurship, do you think that's going to help you or hurt you? Versus hanging around people that are actually doing something, pursuing their dreams, pursuing their entrepreneurial goals. So it even comes down to the point of, once again, just that minute influence, and you end up doing things that normally you wouldn't do, but because everybody else around you is doing them, it becomes normal. So your friends, your family, anybody that's in your inner circle can influence you. So you, once again, guys, you got to be cognizant of all of this. And that's what we're talking about, is your normal conducive for your success, why you may need a new normal. And we're talking about 5 areas where you may need to adjust your normal. Normal is just a state of being. It's doing what you normally do and not being cognizant of how that affects you in terms of your success as an entrepreneur or prospective entrepreneur. So you have to be cognizant. Remember, the definition of normal is conforming to a standard, usual, typical, or expected. It's the norm. It's what you're supposed to do. And a lot of times we fall into normal habits, or these habits that become normal that really are not conducive to be a successful entrepreneur. So we're going to rehash these real quick. Is your normal conducive for your success? Why you may need a new normal. 5 areas where you may need to adjust your normal. Number 1 is the content, meaning your brain. What goes into your brain? Your mind is your greatest tool. Garbage in, garbage out. What are you spending time watching? What are you spending time reading? What are you spending time studying? You want to focus on content that elevates. All right. What do you read? My dad used to say, you look at somebody's bookshelf and you can tell a whole hell of a lot about them. Now we read on pads and, Kindle, phones and all of that. So we can't really do that. But I actually did that. And he told me that years ago when I was a young guy. And I always looked at somebody's library if they even had a library. And what you'll find is people that don't have a library, they're going to be on a different wavelength than you. Not saying that they're not going to, achieve or whatever, but it's all about the content that you put in. What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? How do you continue to educate yourself? It's all about elevation. And I say it all the time. You ain't standing still, family. You're going forwards or backwards. That's it. So that's area number 1 is content. Really, what are you putting into your brain, into your mind? Garbage in equals garbage out. Next is time management skills. Most people's time management skills stink. And I got to work at mine, right? And once again, what is your normal? If you think about your normal day, when you get home from your business or you get home from your job, what does your normal day look like? Are you watching 6 hours of television? Are you playing 4 hours of PlayStation a night? Or are you using that or carving out time for important tasks? Important tasks to move your business along or your personal along, whatever it is. Are you taking out time for reading, writing, thinking, exercising? And once again, I use the time blocking scenario. Block out a period of time where you turn your phone off, put your phones down, and whatever you're focusing on, focus on that for a set period of time. One thing. So if you need to write an article for a magazine, shut everything else down. Turn off the phones and the email and focus. If you need to get through this book for the night, you want to get the X amount of chapters, you allot X amount of time and you focus just on that. That's time management, and it's called time blocking. And if you do that effectively, trust me, it's going to definitely increase your productivity. Number 3 area that you want to look at is focus. What are you focusing on? What do you normally focus on in your normal day? That's what I want you to think about. I talked about focusing on entertainment. I tell you, man, I couldn't wait till Friday came because all my mind was on was what am I going to do this weekend when I get out of this job that I can't stand? I was focusing on entertainment when I should have been focusing on education, educating myself to extract myself from that situation. Focusing on a good time when I should have been focusing on productive time. Buying junk versus buying assets. So what is your focus on? What I can tell you, your focus, if your focus is on something, you're going to see the fruits of that just by being truly focused and taking action. So that's number 3. We talked about content, time management, and focus. Number 4 is wealth. Working on the job. The norm is working on a job and making somebody else wealthy. All right. Your new normal should be building your own business and creating generational wealth. Okay. That should be your new normal. And I get it. It takes time to transition. But that's what we need to talk about. And number 5, your inner circle or influencers. And this could be people who influence you. And sometimes you don't even realize how people influence you. Could be your family, your friends, your spouse, your coworkers, schoolmates, classmates, or whatever. All right. So most people, the norm is your influencers are people with no real vision. What your norm should be is people with grand visions, looking to do great things, grand things, not just the norm. Okay? The norm is your inner circle is talkers, people that talk about a lot of good stuff. When the norm should be doers, people that do things. I can because I do. All right? You got to do something. Action. All right? Also, your inner circle and your influencers, a lot of times they contain negative people. And a lot of times people are negative and they don't even really realize it. Oh, man, that'll never work. Man, what are you doing now? What kind of business you trying to start now? Oh, man, come on, man. Just be satisfied with where you are right now. That's a negative person. You don't need those people in your normal. Your new normal should be positive people. People that are doing things. So if you're an entrepreneur, you need to link up and connect with other entrepreneurs who understand what you're going through, who can give you that support, encouragement, guidance. Let you know, hey, I was there. I've been through that. I get it. Keep doing this and you'll break through. That's what you need. It's tough enough to be an entrepreneur into and of itself. But if you don't have positive people and influences around you, it's damn near impossible. Can you imagine if you're an entrepreneur right now and all you heard every day, man, that's not going to work. Why are you trying this? Why are you doing this? Why don't you just go get a job? That's the easy. Just go get a job, man. Stop. Put that thing down. And there's a lot of people out there that don't want to see you succeed. And the truth behind that is because they don't have the gumption to go out and try to follow their dreams. And so they'll hate on you in a way that they'll make you think that you're crazy for following your dreams when really they wish they had the gumption to do exactly what you're doing. But in your success, they look in the mirror and they see their failure. And it's not necessarily a failure if that's not what they want to do. But once again, we got the old crabs in the barrel mentality. As opposed to putting each other on and being happy for your brother or sister who's doing positive things and going after their goal, a lot of times we have those negative influences. So I just wanted you guys to think about what's normal and maybe how you need to change your normal. And all it is a mindset shift. It's a concerted effort to change your normal into a new normal. All right. What areas you may need to adjust your new normal. And we talked about content, time management, focus, wealth, and your inner circle in no particular order. So think about it, guys. Just a little thing I want you to do. I want you to actually sit down, and you can do it in your head or you can write it down, and write down what your day consists of. Got up at 6 o'clock, ate breakfast, went to work, came home 6 o'clock, ate dinner, played with the kids, played or watched 2 hours of TV, went to bed. The next day, the same thing or whatever. And write down for about a week what your normal is. And see some of the things that you may need to change to create a new normal that's conducive for success. What are you watching on TV when you get home? What are you putting in your brain? How are you using your time management? Or are you using time management? What are you focusing on? Okay? Have you talked about or thought about wealth? How to create wealth, not just for you, but for the next generation. And your inner circle, who are you hanging around with? I know you can't pick your family, but who are you hanging around with? Who's influencing you? And you have to understand that there's a lot of negative forces out there, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs. And then when you add on being a black male or female entrepreneur, that's just another thing we have to deal with. So who are your influences? Who's your inner circle? And you may need to level up your inner circle. Not saying that you need to get rid of, your lifelong friends. And you have to recognize and understand who somebody is and what they are. And as long as you understand who that person is and what they are, that's fine. But you need to level up as an entrepreneur. You need to level up your inner circle. Excuse me. So make sure that you have people with visions, that you're dealing with grand visions. This is your new normal. People that are doers, not talkers, and people that are positive. And once again, connect yourself to an entrepreneurial community where you can connect, dialogue, talk about things, and help each other out. That's why, the mastermind groups, the two groups we have, being able to connect people that are going through the same things. And so make sure, guys, you're cognizant of what your normal is today and figure out what your new normal needs to be to make you successful in entrepreneurship and in anything else. It's being cognizant. So once again, this show was a little different than normal. I didn't give you actionable steps. Actually, I kind of did, that you need to focus on at least, these 5 areas of your normal content, time management, focus, wealth, and inner circle or influencers. So think about those things and make the changes that you need. And once you make those changes, guys, things will start to happen. All right. Now, before we close on out, guys, I just want to say, even in the summertime, and it's hot as heck out here, man, in the city right now. We're going through this heat wave as I'm recording this. But each and every week, guys, we get more and more downloads. And once again, that's attributed all to you, the BEB family. I want to thank you guys. I appreciate you for rolling with your boy. And we're trying to continue to get this good word out there. And we got a lot of good things coming up that we're going to be announcing in the near future. We're going to be opening up the BEB Academy again, probably in sometime in September, where you have all types of high-level content that we're adding to each and every week. So I'll let you guys know when that opens up. And we got a whole bunch of other things coming that I'm not going to divulge until they're all, that we make sure that everything is good to go and we have everything lined up and all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. But we have a couple of actual live events that we're working on right now with the BEB family. So I love to connect with you guys, and we'll talk about that later on as it comes to fruition. Now, if you need to connect with me, so if you're a first time listener to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, as I said at the top of the show, welcome to the BEB family. Please connect with me on social media. So if you need to email me anything long, hit me at jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. That's JAYJONES at blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, go to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint and Facebook, and go to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint and hit and like the page. Twitter, connect with me via Twitter, JJones001, JAYJONES001. Link up with me on Twitter. Instagram, JJones4Real, JAYJONES, 4, REAL. Connect with me on Instagram. YouTube, I do additional content on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and hit subscribe. I got additional content in addition to the show that comes out every week. LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn, look at J Jones Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, connect with me there. If you want to be included in the BEB text line for notifications and reminders about special events, go to text BEB to 555-888. Text BEB to 555-888. And if you want to book me for a speaking engagement at a college, university, high school, organization, whatever, just go to bookjjones.com. Bookjjones.com. Love you guys. I'll see you same time next week. Peace.